Hello, fellas. Welcome back to another Sojourner-like commentary where I just kind of talk into a microphone over some gameplay footage in the background. Today, in the title, as you can see, I am going to be quitting my job. And some people might see, oh, weren't you really excited about this job? Weren't you really doing quite well at it? And yes, I was excited, and yes, I was doing rather well, but over time, there have been things, specific practices, I should say, that have made it so that the job itself is rather unfavorable for my personality type. And it happens that it's coinciding with the Shiny Sylveon getting a little bit of traction, but realistically, I know that I'll find another job. I just can't keep working the one that I am currently. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am selling cars. That is my job. On top of selling cars, you have to sell a couple other things for it. If anyone wants to know the whole process of what goes on there, you can ask me and I'll gladly explain it. But the biggest thing that I disliked about it, I have a list of notes here, was the constant near cold calling that we had to do. And I say near cold calling because whenever we got information on somebody who was interested in buying a car or more likely interested in selling a car, this was because their information had been pulled from one of those car websites. Now, I live in the United States, live in Oregon, and so websites that we work with are things like Auto Trader, Carfax, Car Gurus, Car Now, and Kelley Blue Books, which is a kind of like appraisal website. And on those websites, I think that they tell you that in order to get your vehicle appraisal, you have to put in information to get a response on how much your vehicle is actually worth. But in inputting your information, there is a disclaimer on those websites that says by inputting your information, you give Car Gurus the right to send this information to the person who is selling the vehicle. And so if you're ever wondering why you get lambasted by like 20 phone calls and text messages and emails from all these car dealerships within a 30-40 mile radius of you, is entirely because of that disclaimer. But I think it's a little bit strange that there's that disclaimer there, but you won't actually get information that you want without being able to go through sending your information off to a bunch of people whom you probably have never heard of or have no interest in selling your vehicle. So you just want to know or want to entertain yourself even and want to know what the number of the price of the vehicle is at the end of the day. And I say constant near cold calling because the dealership doesn't exactly take silence as denial. They just don't take it as a no. And even further than that, if someone denies one form of communication, that doesn't mean that they have opted out of all forms of communication. What I mean is that if someone says, I want to opt out of emails, well, still call and text them. Oh, I opt out of text. Well, obviously they still want to be called and emailed. I don't think that's how it works. If someone says, I don't want to receive texts about this, it probably means that they're not interested in any communications in general. It does not mean, like if I said, hey dude, I really don't want you to text me anymore, I wouldn't also expect you to then follow up and say like, hey, so I'm calling you since you said you didn't want me to text. It's nonsensical in that sense. If there's one form of communication that goes off, logically the follow-up would be that you don't want to be contacted in any other way, but my job takes it as, oh, they just don't want to be contacted by text or by email, so we'll just call them anyway. On top of that, since they don't take silence as outright denial, we are instructed to call these people once a day for 5 days in a row, and also to email and text intermittently in between that time. And we're supposed to kind of repeat this pattern at a more varied interval and a longer interval for a period of up to a month, which usually amounts to around 15 phone calls to one person or so, which is insane, which is wild to me. And for them, it's not even that, oh, you're doing it because they say that it's like it has good industry stats and everything. But also, at a certain point, if someone hasn't responded to you within a month, it probably, if they haven't responded within 2 weeks, it probably means that they're not interested, to be quite honest with you. But because there are some statistics that, quote, the industry has taken that says that people usually will look for a car for up to 90 days out from their first inquiry. 90 days is 3 months. Within 3 months, they might think of buying a car later down the line. And so there was initially even a rule that said we had to follow up for the next 3 months because that was a possibility that they could be looking for a car later down the line. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't vibe with me to want to pester people for most of a month, giving them phone calls, and then if it doesn't go to phone call, it goes to voicemail, right? And that's fine. Like, going to voicemail, whatever. That's totally like the most innocuous way for me to handle things. Fills up people's voicemail boxes and it gets really annoying. But at a certain point, it doesn't feel like I'm actually helping people. It feels like I am fulfilling a quota, just going through a checklist and saying, yep, I called this person. Yep, I called this person. Like, there's no actual initiative being brought in here. They expect us to clear a certain number of phone calls and expect us to clear a certain amount of communication a day. And I don't want to have any part of that. The other thing is that we recently rotated from an old system. Other people who have been in car sales will recognize the name CRM. We went to this new thing called DriveCentric, and I hate DriveCentric. I mean, DriveCentric's a little bit cleaner and easier to read in terms of information, and it connects a lot faster, and it's a lot less archaic looking than CRM was. But the problem with it is that it is primarily driven by an AI assistant, like a ChatGPT bot that responds to emails automatically and sends text automatically for you. But just because the AI sends those emails and sends the text out doesn't mean that the salesperson has fulfilled their quota. So the salesperson also still has to fulfill their quota of sending an email. So now not only are you getting an email from me every day, but you're also getting an email from the AI assistant unless I kick it off the project, which I try to kick it off as quickly as possible. Now, not only do I have several liturgical problems with using AI, and several philosophical problems with using AI, but also the AI has proven to have very strange word patterns in the way that it's like, oh, I hope I caught you before lunch kind of thing. Like, who texts like that in a professional setting? Who does that? There was even one time recently, actually a couple days ago, where the AI said, yes, we do have a new Mercedes-Benz E350 in our lot. My dealership doesn't sell that brand of car. We don't sell that brand new. The closest that we had was a GLE 450 at one of our other lots. That wasn't even a vehicle we had. And so I got a call from this person who had been emailed by the AI assistant. The person wanted to talk to the AI assistant because the AI assistant has a human sounding name, and then said, oh, it's strange that your AI said that there was this specific vehicle that you guys had. And like, no, that's not correct. So it's making our lives worse, and also it's AI. So screw that noise. The other thing is that there's also a feature to be able to upload video demos of the vehicles that you might potentially sell. So you can do these video walkarounds and send them to people. I usually take about 2 minutes just to be like, hey, here's how the trunk opens. Here's what it looks like on the inside, on the back seat and the front seat. And here's some of the buttons and everything. A very quick run through, very calm and collected look at the vehicle to give you enough of an idea of what the car looks like. And these video uploads do not work. You try to upload them to the shared library within the dealership. It doesn't work. You try to upload them to send to an email address, and half the time that doesn't work. But sometimes, depending on the video, and it doesn't matter length or size of video because it seems to kind of pick them at random, you can send some videos strictly through text if the person hasn't opted out of text already. So, but the problem is that the checklist that they have us do requires us to send videos to people anyway, which doesn't work half the time. And it's extremely frustrating because I feel like I'm always falling behind on a system that just doesn't work. Another thing that I don't like about is that how there seems to be that real disconnect between KBB, like Kelley Blue Books, it's a vehicle appraising tool we have here, necessity versus actual interest in selling the vehicle. So KBB, I think in their systems is like, well, if you want to get your appraisal, you have to put in your information. And that's necessary to go through with all of this. But then we're told on our side that yes, this person 100% of the way is interested in selling their car. You should contact them immediately. Which I guess to play a little bit of devil's advocate for myself, I would never know anyone's intention in selling their vehicle going through Kelley Blue Books. But if after a week of contacting a person, they still haven't called back and tried to sell us their vehicle, then I'm going to assume that they're not interested in selling the vehicle because they just wanted a number at the end of the day. And that does not work. It just seems like the system is intentionally designed to make certain people who work in the dealership feel miserable because you're always trying to contact people who don't want to be contacted. I'm fine with taking phone calls. I'm fine with taking requests and talking with people. I don't like making calls to a person who is most likely not going to be even remotely interested in anything I have to say. I don't want to deal with that anxious feeling that I do every single day and dread going to work every single day because of it. And then the other thing too that I just kind of generally hate about cars nowadays is the fact that there is so much technology in them now. It's kind of like a selling point for vehicle service contracts. You can't call them warranties because legally you're not allowed to sell warranties. Only manufacturers can do that. Anything that's a third party or an aftermarket product is legally a vehicle service contract. And one of the things that is a selling point for the vehicle service contract is the fact that there is so much technology in these things now. Like I think with the Dodge Ram 1500s, the brand new ones that are coming out, there's a 12.3 inch screen in there. It's like an iPad screen that you have to work off of. That if that thing goes out, it's an expensive fix. And the reason that it's expensive fix is because all of the tech in every single vehicle is outsourced overseas and shipped. That's why all of the backup cameras look the same. That's why everything in the dash looks the same, is because none of it is built locally, but it's considered to be such a necessary feature and a quote improvement over something previously in the vehicle that now has become a necessity because like, oh, we're embracing the new age. And I hate that. I hate the fact that the tech has to be so new age, has to be so modern that you actually can't now go without trying to buy a service contract to cover the cost of repairs on these things, because if they go out, they're an extremely expensive fix and they might control just about half of the capabilities in your vehicle anyway. And I hate it. I hate that vehicles have gone away from having more analog buttons or extremely simple designs on their radios to these god-awful touch screen displays. Like, give me buttons. Give me a small radio that I can connect my phone to with Bluetooth. I don't care about any of the other shit. I don't want it. I do not want my vehicle to have all this stupid-ass tech in here. And it's so frustrating, even as a car salesperson, knowing that I have to try and talk about a vehicle service contract in the form of tech, because I don't want someone getting screwed by a manufacturer's decision to make the car more shit. Anyway, so those are kind of my rants and my reasons for not wanting to continue selling cars anymore, and why I'm going to be quitting my job. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed listening to this little rant. I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.